Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of I Am. I Am is a Catholic podcast in the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Papua New Guinea and Solomon Islands. Here on I Am, we share on the coming Sunday's Gospel every week. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Our Gospel for this week is taken from Mark chapter 1, verses 29 to 39. On leaving the synagogue, Jesus went with James and John straight to the house of Simon and Andrew. Now, Simon's mother-in-law was in bed and feverish, and at once they told him about her. He went in, took her by the hand and helped her up, and the fever left her and she began to serve them. That evening after sunset, they brought to him all who were sick and those who were possessed by devils. The whole town came crowding around the door, and he cured many who were sick with diseases of one kind or another. He also drove out many devils, but he would not allow them to speak, because they knew who he was. In the morning, long before dawn, he got up and left the house and went off to a lonely place and prayed there. Simon and his companions set out in search of him, and when they found him, they said, "Everybody is looking for you." He answered, "Let us go elsewhere, to the neighboring country towns, so that I can proclaim the message there too, because that is why I came." And he went all through Galilee, preaching in the synagogues and driving out devils. The Gospel of the Lord. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of I Am. In this week's Gospel, there are three things that I'd like to share with you all. The first is that we see how the people came crowding around the door where Jesus stayed. They were all seeking him. They all needed him. They all needed the healing that he had to offer them to their bodies, to their minds, and to their souls. Now, this, I believe, is told to us to remind us that whether we admit it or not, we often try to hide our pain. We often try to hide the things that we struggle with, because in the present world, being a person that suffers is something that is looked down on as being shameful. We feel embarrassed to reveal or show people that we are going through hard times or tough times, that we're struggling with certain things or issues. But in this gospel, we are reminded that everyone faces problems, everyone goes through issues, everyone needs help, everyone needs a helping and caring hand or a shoulder to help them along this pilgrimage journey we all share on earth. And Jesus shows us that we are meant to assist, we are meant to help each other, to alleviate each other, to be the light and to be the joy in each other's lives. Jesus gives us an example about the power of what one man can do in the lives of many. But there is also an important message in the healing that he gives to all these people. You'll see that whenever Jesus heals someone, they go off and they preach to people and tell them about Jesus. And I think that is something that we should call to mind when we recall instances like this in this week's gospel where Jesus heals people. Whenever we receive healing from Jesus in the Catholic Church, we not only receive healing of whatever ailments we have, whether physical, mental, or spiritual, but we also receive graces to overcome these ailments so that they won't trouble us in the future. And when we receive these graces, not only does it help us to overcome our ailments, especially sin, but it also empowers us and puts the light and life of Christ in us and empowers us to bring that light and that love of Jesus to other people. We are able to reflect the light and love of Jesus to other people. Now, the second thing I see that this gospel is teaching us, again, goes back to how Jesus is when he heals us, but it's particularly to do with the mother-in-law of Simon. We look at how Jesus heals her. It doesn't say that Jesus comes in and just speaks a word or lays his hand on her and she becomes well. No, the gospel details and takes time to painstakingly tell how Jesus went into the room where she was, took her by the hand and helped her up, and then she was cured. Now this shows the compassion and love that Jesus has towards all of us. Jesus is a friend. Jesus is a brother. Jesus is our maker. He loves us. He loves us more than anything else. He loved us into creation. And this is indicative in the way how he heals Simon's mother-in-law. He approaches her in a personal way. And I believe this shows us how much Jesus loves us. And I believe also that this is how Jesus calls us to be with one another, when we help each other, when we assist each other, when we heal each other from whatever ailments or struggles that we have. We should always do it in a loving way, in a personal way, and not at arm's length. It is understandable. We all may not admit it, but it is always a struggle to get personal with the people that need help and the people whom we tend to help. We always like to help at an arm's length. There's a good side to that, but there is also the risk of being impassionate and ingenuine with our love towards these people. So I believe this particular sentence in the gospel challenges all of us to be more genuine with how we love others, to be more genuine with how we express the love of God to others. You know, Jesus tells us clearly that we are to do unto others as He has done for us. If Jesus loves us and helps us in a personal way, we ought to do the same. And lastly, in this week's gospel, we see how Jesus teaches us the importance of prayer. Jesus, being the Son of God Himself and being one with the Father, despite being that, He knows the importance of prayer in His life. He knows what prayer does. So this is one of the instances in the Gospels where we see Jesus goes to be alone by Himself and prays. In this week's gospel, He goes in the morning, early in the hours of the morning, when everyone's asleep, when the place is quiet and there's no one to disturb Him, and He goes away to a lonely place to pray. This is what we should be investing our time and efforts in, because we all need prayer. We all know that our day goes far better when we started off with a good prayer rather than if we don't pray at all. Now, how much more true is it with life, with prayer in our lives, our whole lives? So here, I believe Jesus is reminding us of the importance of prayer by the very fact that He Himself did it and He Himself showed His reliance on the power of prayer. That is all for our sharing on this week's gospel. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you all next week on the next one. May the peace of Christ be with us all.
Hey everyone, once again, thank you for joining us for this episode of I Am. We hope that this episode was helpful to you. If you feel that it could be helpful for someone else, please kindly share this video. Also, don't forget to like and to subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you'd like to see more Catholic content, feel free to scroll through our YouTube channel and check out our other videos. Thank you and see you next week.